Good morning. Didn't get much better overnight, did it? Let's be honest. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to 5 Things We Learn. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Any questions that you've got in the comments below, and we'll get stuck into them as we can. Right, number one then. Like we said last night, a little bit defensive shambles. Defensively, we've been awful all season. And I think people can fall into the trap of going, oh, we've been defensively bad. The defenders are bad. It's not necessarily the case. It's not necessarily the case that the goalkeeper is bad either, although I do think last night he was. It can be that your defensive structure isn't right. You know, defending is a team game. It requires the attack to be involved in the press. If the press isn't good, that the balls that come through and over the top are of a higher quality and are more dangerous. If the midfield's not at it, then the opposition midfield gets a greater opportunity to play a particular type of ball, a more dangerous ball into your box, which means that the defenders are immediately at a disadvantage. And then when you compound that, the defenders aren't necessarily playing well either. You see why United have conceded the sheer volume of goals that we've conceded. 3+ goals in 3 consecutive games for the first time since 1978. Fuck me. We're very easy to play against, and that's bad. That's something that you've got to fix. Only 2 teams have conceded more than us in the Premier League. Martinez has fell off a little bit since his injury. Hasn't been anywhere near as dominant defensively as he has been in previous seasons, or last season for us at least, and previously at Ajax. You know, it's far too easy for us. You know, we might be missing a little bit of the bite from Wan-Bissaka. We might be missing a little bit of defensive ability from Luke Shaw. Certainly missing Varane, and I think we're missing the midfield in front of them as well. But yeah, overall, it's a bit of a shit show defensively at the moment. Number 2. Featherweight. Our players are passed too easily by the opposition. You know, how much do we get ram past? How much do we not manage to put a tackle in? We do not impose ourselves on the opposition at all. The team feels and plays very, very lightweight. We're vulnerable from set pieces. We're not a threat from our own. There's a mentality issue. Our reaction when we concede in games is extremely poor. There isn't a like, so what, we'll score kind of attitude about us. There almost seems like an inevitability about us conceding. You know, are we missing a little bit of character in the side at the moment? Can Amrabat come in and change that? Someone with, you know, a 10 out of 10 mentality. We're going to need to see that, I think. Number 3, Højlund opens his account. He's looked promising. He's one of the few that showed a little bit of fight and a little bit of quality. Finally opened his United account. Well, technically for the second time. Was starved of service completely, but when he was in possession, when he got the opportunity, he looked bright. He's got a furious press about him. Now, we knew that before he came, but maybe it looks more evident because of the lack of a fight and attitude around him. But yeah, he looked quite good. I think the potential is obvious, but more importantly, it looks like he's built to play for United. The United shirt doesn't look too heavy for him at the moment, so he might be someone that's going to drag us out of shit a little bit. Burnley, weirdly, 8 o'clock at night on a Saturday. We'll find out what people are all about. Number 4, Reguilon positive. Probably our best player the last 2 games, and that is a third choice left back that's on loan that doesn't belong to us. Shit. He looked up for most of the game. He played with urgency, played with intent. Looked like he was going to create something. Was our best defender, was our best attacking threat. Tottenham outcast that's outperforming all of our stars, and that's absolutely damning. We need more from others. We absolutely need more from everybody else in the mixer. Super chat there from Nick Collins. It says, would I sign Reguilón permanently if his form continues? Also, Pellistri did look good second half. I thought Pellistri could have looked better. Now, I'll finish off what I'm going to say, but Pellistri could have looked better because he was up against Alphonso Davies, who obviously has got a lot of pace about him, but I don't think we tried to isolate him from a defensive point of view anywhere near enough. If Ten Hag's identified that Davies is a poor defender, and I'll be honest, he is more of an offensive fullback than a defensive fullback, then you didn't exploit that. And I think you could have exploited that. And I thought that was the reason for putting Pellistri on there, is to try and get at Davies and pen him back a little bit. But that didn't really happen, I don't think. But would I sign Reguilón on a permanent basis? My gut instinct, despite the fact he's been our best player for the last 2 games, is no. Because you've already got 2 fullbacks. They're just both injured at the moment. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, as much as I agree that he's been our best player, I think no. You just end up with a load of players that you can't fucking play then. YT says, not related to this, but how's your hand coming along? Wishing a speedy recovery. Currently taped up. And pretty sore, but I'm on painkillers, so we move. And finally, VAR. So, VAR penalty decisions, extremely inconsistent and not gone our way. 50 decisions seem to go against us. The Davies tackle on Pellistri, he gets the ball, he comes through the back of him. Like, you've seen the wording of fouls that, you know, you're not allowed to come through the back of players to win a ball. Even if you touch the ball first, you can't go through the back of somebody. So, technically a foul, not given, seemingly not looked at. The handball, I've got no issues with that being a handball. But where's United's handball for similar circumstances against Tottenham at 0-0? These are the bounces and the rubs that aren't going United's way at the moment. And if this was the other way round, if this was United benefiting from these things, you would literally never hear the end of it. You know, when United went on that run where they got penalty after penalty after penalty after penalty, not one of them was a dive, not one of them wasn't a penalty. But there was just some massive things made out about it all the fucking time. So yeah, one of those. Annoying as fuck. What are you guys saying in the comments? The big Labrowski says, this is the worst game the game could have panned out. People look at the scoreline and say it was close. It wasn't close. They deserved a 5-0 win. Performance matters. Yeah, I said that last night, and there was a lot of people, and I knew this would be the case, but there was a lot of people in the comments going, it was 4-3. What you on about? Here's the truth, right? Bayern Munich raised their game 10% when they needed to score, and then they dropped it back down to a real bit of an idle in performance. That was not Bayern Munich at 10 out of 10. That might have been Bayern Munich at a 4 out of 10, and they've snotted us. They've absolutely snotted us. Wrigley says, Garnacho coming on at 80 plus needs to stop. Give the lad 20, 30 minutes to get at tied defenders. That I agree with. I don't agree with the people demanding that he starts, because he started the first couple of games of the season and looked fucking dreadful starting the first couple of games of the season. I think he, at the moment, is far better for coming on against tired defenders. Phil says, context please. We were away at the prospective favourites for the tournament and had 4 goalkeepers in the squad. No, I'm all for having a little bit of perspective. I think that's fine, but individually the performances were absolutely not good enough. And yes, 4-3 isn't the worst scoreline in the world. At the end of the day, it's a loss, and it was a loss where you were miles off winning. You know, you had a bright 10 minutes, and what? It was a performance that was miles off. It's yes, we had a poor team out there and a poor bench out there. But there was a complete lack of fight in the team. You know, there was basic mistakes. The first goal, no one being picked up inside the box. Not good enough. Like, literally, if someone at Paddock did that, we're level fucking 13 of English football. If I see my team concede that goal, I'm going to start fucking screaming at them, because it's not acceptable. Someone has to pick up runners inside the box. These are basic things. You can never be outnumbered in your own box. That is a basic tenet. And away at Bayern Munich, you should have known there is a real chance that they're going to flood numbers into the box, because that is how they attack. Like, if you've seen any Bayern Munich game in the last 20 years, you know what to expect, let alone this particular Bayern Munich team under Tommy Tuchel. It's not acceptable that you have people jogging into the box. How many times have you seen United concede this fucking season from a check back to the edge of the box or to around the penalty area? And we're still getting caught with it. Like, that's not acceptable. Now, there's either 2 things at play here. The management and the coaching staff aren't telling the players or going back over that, right? How likely do you think that is? Because I'm going to say there's not a fucking prayer they're not looking back over the goals and the chances that we concede. Or are the players not doing their fucking job? So this isn't about oh, we had a poor team, we probably expected to lose anyway, that's fine. That doesn't mean you get to excuse downright basic bullshit and lack of effort from the football team. That's not allowable. Yeah, Rocksteady says 6 games, 14 goals conceded. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that's going to come on Onana, right or wrong, but the whole fucking team isn't defending. And this is what I'm talking about. When people are going to blame Onana for that. Oh, he conceded another goal. Right, but who's picking men up inside the box? Because that is a fucking basic principle of defending. You can't get away with not doing the basics. Simple as that. If you don't do the basics, you're going to concede. If you don't do the basics, when you go to the places like Bayern fucking Munich, you're going to get embarrassed. James says we were robbed, Peno not given to us and Peno given to them that shouldn't have been given. Look, handball, I thought since the recent changes in the introduction of VAR, I thought handball was any time it touched your arm. So I got no issue necessarily. It clearly wasn't deliberate, but under the rules of VAR, that is a penalty, unfortunately. So I don't have a massive issue with that. But if it's a penalty, then you can't tell me that the Spurs one that we had a couple of weeks ago was also not a penalty because it was the exact same circumstances. Dexter says, rate the suggestion to change Fortune's 3-4-3 formation while attack push side centre-back up from the box. While defending, you get an additional man. Midfield 2 of Bruno and Casse don't need additional baggage in midfield. Bruno, you're asking Bruno to do a lot in that situation, I think. Ed says, can we talk about the fake pressing that we do? It's really frustrating. They just pretend to press. It's a joke. Some of it might be asking to cover. I think there's also... I've got a pressing session. I think it's in about a week and a half, actually. Let me just check. So with my lads, I have an 18-week curriculum that I roll through of what we're working on at time to time. And the reason I do that is I don't think it's prudent to... I get... I'm only there for one training session a week. The other training session, we do small-sided game stuff. But with the lads, there is... I'm just trying to find it while I'm talking. Where is it? There we go. No, that's not the one. There it is. So I have an 18-week program that I repeat twice, and then pre-season gives you the extra, and there is your 46 weeks, 42 weeks of the season where you're looking to get training done. Plus, the additional start of preseason where it's just fitness and testing. I don't like to turn up at training and be like, right, what were we bad at on Saturday? Let's train that. I don't think you're ever because you could never be happy with the finishing. You could never be happy with certain aspects of defending. I would rather get the curriculum into people, try and fix that on the fly once people know what's expected of them, and then cover it a couple of times during the season. I think if you just worked on what you're bad every single time, you might get stuck in one aspect of the game and neglect the other dozen or so aspects of the game that you need to cover. We're actually doing... So we've got a mid-block high press session on 3rd of October, so that's coming up pretty soon. And then we've got, on the 31st of October, we've got high press triggers. So these are and then mid-blocking on 14th of November, transitions to defend 5th of December. So I kind of go one attacking, one defending, one neutral sort of idea in terms of a drill. But the idea with pressing is you can't press everybody all over the field all at once. In our league, I'm quite happy to allow the opposition to have the ball in the box. Not often are you going to see a team play out, so I'm going to almost draw a line right in front of the opposition D, and I'm going to say, right, we're not going to press ahead of that line, but once the ball comes into this little channel, this third here, in their half, we're going to press everything. And then you obviously have to decide when and where to press. If they've sunk you back, you're in a medium or a low block, and their defensive line has moved up towards, say the halfway line, then you're going to have a different set of circumstances for that sort of stuff. And maybe you will press the centre-halves there. I suggest you probably would, because especially in our league, you're going to get defenders that have got the ability to launch it forward from there, so that's a dangerous position to allow a centre-half to have it in. But you don't always necessarily have pressing. So yes, I agree that for the most part, it looks like United aren't really pressing. It looks like a pretend press. But there's certain circumstances where you maybe don't necessarily want to press. Like, for example, Brighton. Brighton want you to enter the box so they can pass it around you. Now, if you don't engage that, what are they going to do? They've got 3 of their own players taken out of the game, occasionally 4, but because United had a forward 2, they only went to a back 2 and a goalkeeper, giving them the +1 principle. If you don't press that 3 there, what are they going to do? Now, for me, I would say drive with the ball at one of the attackers and see if my number 6 can pop left or right and make a 2v1 on one of those attackers. But for the most part, people are just going to panic. Oh shit, they're not pressing us. What do we do in this situation? And I think that's where you have to figure out what you're going to do a little bit about it. Am says, I genuinely don't think it's as bad as it seems. Injuries came at a bad time due to the fixtures we've had. When players come back with the good signs we've seen, it'll get better. I hope so, and I think you're probably right, but one of those. Shane says, Monesty, late in, thoughts on McTominay's tracking back last night. I thought we could have kept Fred just because he wouldn't have half-arsed it like that. The thing is with McTominay, like, that's not who he is as a player, but that's what I've seen the last 2 weeks from him. We saw it against Brighton. We saw it, well, not even 2 weeks. This week, we saw it against Brighton. We saw it against Bayern. Like, you can't be lackadaisical tracking runners into the box. This is where you concede. If there's any a time to be fucking going turbo and 10 out of 10, that is the time. Right fucking there. Right there. Ruben says, we don't make any team work to get the ball back. Our passing and ball retention shocking. Continually invites pressure. Agree. General says, Onana signing could have waited until we recruited more depth over the next few seasons. If Ten Hag knew he didn't have the funds, why waste it on a keeper who plays a dynamic system to the ones we have? Because he wanted to build his team around a keeper that plays that system. Very simple. I don't agree with the people saying that Onana needed thinking. You had a decision to make. You either commit to a new contract for David De Gea, which is going to cost you tens of millions, or you bring in a goalkeeper. You're probably saving at least 2/3 of the guy's wage to bring him in. The transfer fees, it's not record-breaking. It's not nothing, obviously. But I think without the injuries, striking aside, there's a decent bit of depth everywhere. But you got Mount injured, you got Mainu injured, Amrabat is out injured. You've not really seen the best of Højlund just yet. You're missing, for whatever reason, right or wrong, whether you get him back is another question. But you're missing Greenwood, you're missing Anthony, you're missing Sancho. 3 players are from one position. Like, you tell me another team in world football that's dealing with the number of injuries that we've got. Varane is out there, Wan-Bissaka is out there, Luke Shaw is out there. If it wasn't for Tom Heaton getting fit this week, you've got a back 4 injured of Varane, Maguire, Shaw and Wan-Bissaka. That was starting games for us not long ago. Tom Heaton in net. You've got a midfield of Amrabat, Mainu and Mount, which is not a bad midfield. Not available. And then you've got a forward line that you could play of Sancho on the left, Greenwood down the middle, and Anthony on the right. That is a full fucking 11, arguably better than the 11 we're able to stick out right now. That is unavailable to us. What other team has got an actual full fucking 11 missing? I'll wait. Pep Guardiola's got 5 players missing and everyone's out here with a fucking pity party for him. Most assembled squad in the world, in the world with it, by the way, as well. And supposedly the best manager and supposedly the best academy. Play your academy, shut the fuck up. Cred says too much Eriksen hate, played in the wrong position, not a defensive midfielder. I don't think it's hate. I think just analysing the fact that he wasn't the right person to play in that particular game is not hate. That's fine. Alex says, how do we make the changes to ensure we get a must-win versus Burnley at the weekend? I just want to see Amrabat in the team. I think that mentality shift could be enough. Ahmad and Malacia on the bench for that injury 11. Again, yep. Anne says United will bounce back. I believe we will, but yeah. Alex says Chelsea, but they have 50 players. I mean, Chelsea, yeah. Chelsea got far too many players to complain about having injuries. It's insane. Chris says, I think we sold Casemiro's legs when we sold Fred. Fred did the running, so Cas could play his game. Hopefully Amrabat can fill in that space. Yeah, he's looked so off the pace this year. Notch says, what's the thinking with always playing Eriksen behind Bruno when it worked better for the 2 times it swapped last season? I don't know. Like, I wouldn't have... I would have played McTominay, although on the showing of the last 2 fucking games, I think that might be a bad idea as well, to be honest. I just want to see an attempt to do something different. Like the same, Higgs says you are refusing to talk about Rashford's shortcomings. Then you're not fucking listening to videos, mate, at all, are you? Go look at the 5 things from Brighton and tell me that I'm ignoring what's going on with Marcus Rashford. And I'll accept the apology in writing. Thank you. When you look at the performances that are coming out from the players, I just want to see us try and do something different. We've played almost the same team, barring the occasional player, against Brighton, against Arsenal, against Bayern, and we've shipped multiple goals, barely been in the fight, and been battered. Do something different. Did we upgrade De Gea when it comes to commanding the box and shot stopping? Shot stopping's on about a par. Commanding the box, absolutely. Christian says, need to get behind the team. Cannot fail this manager. Old Trafford needs to be a fortress at home games, get some results. Well, it was. But yeah. Steve, will Amrabat be a Kante type of midfielder? Not quite, but more of. We lack athletes to stick with. I mean, yeah, look at the video I did the other day, which was everything that's wrong with United. The lack of athletes in the squad was absolutely one of those big things that we were missing, and lack of athleticism in there was another big one that we're missing. Kieran says, at least we'll all be a few pints deep come 8 p.m. on Saturday. Jibak with a super chat says, from a talent point of view, do I believe it's better to keep senior players out of form than give kids a chance, even though they may not be ready? I don't necessarily agree with that. No, I think you play your best players. If they're not in form, they need to be showing something in training to do that. And I would be giving kids, like if Hannibal is rassing it up in training, I'd be finding a way to fit him into the team. For me, training picks the team. Like those matches, you play 11v11 in training, and that's for me where the team gets selected. B King says, shot stopping on a par with De Gea. What drugs are you using? I'm using the actual facts that his shot stopping is on par with David De Gea. Statistically, factually, it is. You know, and don't tell me De Gea would have saved all of the 14 goals that we've just conceded, because he fucking wouldn't have. For starters, he doesn't save penalties, so he wouldn't have fucking saved that one. Also, did he not concede like 7 from 8 shots against Liverpool? Do you know what I'm saying? IR says, if you take Brighton out of the equation, we're unbeaten at home under Ten Hag in the Premier League. Yeah, but you can't, and they beat us twice. Do I still believe Rashford deserves to be starting? Yeah. And the reason for that is there is nobody else doing any better than him at the moment. Garnacho has had opportunities to start and not really taken anything from them. Anthony Martial does not deserve to start. And we're still figuring out who deserves to start off the right-hand side. So, yeah. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there. I've asked for some questions over on Twitter. We've got Ash and Dean Holden in. Dean was the manager of Charlton when they played at Old Trafford last season. He also was assistant manager at Bristol when Ash was there, so we're going to hopefully get some juice out of him about Ash. Also, Paddock are playing on Saturday. It's a 2 o'clock kickoff if you're in the area. It's free entry at Droylsden Stadium. You can get there from town on a Metrolink. And United don't play till 8 o'clock at night, so you can get 2 games in this weekend if you're up for that. So hopefully I'll see some of you at the stadium. But let me know your thoughts on the 5 things from today. Make sure to subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters.